and it's for Schott and Vip. I can answer it. The question is for those on the audio version. What's the reaction from your fellow teammates have been? I can say that I have talked to former players, and I read one of those tweets or one of those texts earlier on the reaction show. I have not seen somebody that's not over the moon about this. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but everybody is excited for the possibilities. And I know what would have happened or what likely would have happened had this not come together. But Vip, what have you heard from around the way? Buddies, former players, teammates, friends, coworkers now. What has everybody been saying?
Yeah, I think the change in the past 2 weeks has been a complete night and day shift where before it was apathy. Now it's people, sniffing around the program, trying to figure out, how they could get in the door and sweep floors, for example. But I've had a few people that are in the coaching ranks or have been trying to get in the coaching ranks asking, do you know who's going to be on their staff? Do you know how I could get an in? So I think not only is there a lot of excitement, but there's a lot of people that want to come back and contribute to the program. And I think the other consensus that I've gotten is that, man, Thomas Jackson missed his window because he would have been an all ACC receiver with Bill Belichick.
What do you think, Schott? What have you heard from your former guys?
Overwhelmingly positive reactions from everybody. I mean, I've talked to 20 plus former teammates, guys that are still in the NFL, guys that didn't play at Carolina, guys that were all ACC guys. I mean, the reaction has been overwhelmingly positive. I mean, I grew up in the era. I'm 31 years old. I watched Bill's entire career at the New England Patriots, and all we saw was him win Super Bowls or him losing the AFC Championship. So he is the figurehead of coaching football in my lifetime and all of my teammates and guys that I played with. So to see him lead our program now is everyone's over the moon.
Buck, you're in a couple of the chats I'm in. What's been the reaction from around folks that hit up Buck Sanders for information or want to tell you how they feel?
I've heard from a lot of people I haven't heard a lot from in a while. I'm sure that's a common experience. Everybody here, just people that you hadn't talked to in a while, just reach out to you, uh, and want to start talking about stuff. But one of the things that really touched me was Trey Edge sent me a text. And I don't know how many people in here know who Trey Edge is, but he's Junior Edge's son. Junior Edge was a quarterback at UNC, and Trey was also played football at North Carolina, and it just ripped my heart out. He's talking about his dad smiling down from heaven, and that he's 57 years old, and he's been pulling for North Carolina football and been involved in North Carolina football, father and son involvement for 70 some years. And he's never felt this way about Carolina football in his life. Um, and if that doesn't grab you around your heart, then you don't have one. Um, so that kind of thing, I think, means more to me. Um, I know everybody gets excited. I know plenty of people that have reached out to me that are excited about it, but um, I mean, people are being moved by this in ways that go beyond or transcend just watching a spectator sport, and that's what gets to me a little bit.
Jason, you obviously have plenty of contacts in the industry and across the thing, and have certainly, cover another team down south. But just thoughts from what you've heard from around the way.
Outside of Carolina circles, I'm getting a lot more skepticism of like, really? I mean, does this guy really want to coach college players? And, have they talked to Belichick before? These sorts of things. I'm getting some of that, but I'm also getting the, oh wow, so this means Carolina's like really stepping up to the, like, Carolina's actually a serious program now, huh? So it's a combination of those two things of like, are we really sure that Belichick wants to do this? And oh, so Carolina's serious. So, and I think that's probably just in general what the national sentiment is going to be.
Greg, I want to get you in here for another question. And I had it right here. I'm sorry. Oh, Old North State. Appropriate name. Ramifications for UNC and conference alignment. And the reason I get you here for this, Greg, is we often talked about Mac would have been the perfect person to make sure Carolina ushered themselves into one of the big conferences and in the new era of college football. It didn't work out. What are the ramifications here with this hire, with this commitment, especially for North Carolina?
Well, I think the main thing is, as we saw, Oklahoma kind of laid it out a little bit when they joined the SEC, but you don't just go into the SEC as is. Like there are expectations and financial commitments that you have to show the SEC that, hey, okay, we're committed. Like we're not just coming in to be a lapdog. And so I think this type of move, for a reason we've already talked about, helps North Carolina in that regard with if and when a transition occurs, whether it be to the SEC or the Big Ten. It doesn't do anything with regard to the grant of rights. That's still the primary hurdle. Clearly, when you have a coach with Bill Belichick's name, that helps you with exposure. That makes you more desirable for any conference. But there's a lot of other things that Carolina brings to the table. And that's one of the interesting things we really hadn't touched on too much. I know Jason did initially, but having somebody light a fire under the Carolina brand, we've seen it for basketball, haven't seen it for football. That's going to be a unique thing. You know, if he can bring in more Jordan brand and get more attention in that regard, all those things help. But at the end of the day, it's about figuring out how North Carolina can maneuver around that grant of rights. Florida State and Clemson are doing the bulk of the dirty work right now with the lawsuits. There's a lot of work being done behind the scenes trying to figure out what options exist. And I know everybody's thinking about 2036 or bust. There is potential for movement ahead of that, but just a lot of work left to be done. And I don't think it's in the immediate future, but maybe years down the road.